Council Chair David, International Director Graham, distinguished guests, conventioneers, one and all, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Youth of the Year Committee, it is my pleasure to welcome you all here to the 2025 Youth of the Year National Final. And a special welcome to also the people who might be live streaming it, because we'd like to have them on board also. As we enter our 62nd year of the Youth of the Year program, a special thank you to all the Lions clubs around Australia and their Club Youth of the Year chairperson. You are the people who get this program up and running, so a big thank you to you, and I hope we get a lot more next year. Also to the zone chairpersons, regional chairpersons, district chairpersons, all of you, a big thank you. But my biggest thank you is going to my state committee. They have been awesome in supporting me this past 12 months as I'm new to the role. So thank you very much to all of you. It is now my very great honour, and excuse me if I blubber a bit because I have got to know these young people, and if you were all down at the gala last night and you were doing the Nutbush, I hope you're okay this morning, because I think the whole floor was covered with people doing the Nutbush last night, thanks to these young people. So I'm going to introduce them to you in the order that they will be doing their public speaking. Please welcome Wee Lin and her State Coordinator, Philip Croden from Tasmania. We have Joshua Patrick from West Australia and his State Coordinator, Kim Wilkinson. Camilla Copeland from New South Wales and her District Chair, past District Governor, Diane Shillington. I only found out she was a past District Governor the other day because she told me she got put on the special list, so that's where I found out she was a PDG. Emma Choi from C Districts, or South Australia, and her State Coordinator, past District Governor Daryl Morley. Sebastian Lunn from V District and his State Coordinator, Christy Box. Jasper Robinson from Q District and his State Coordinator, District Governor-elect, Noel Glua. And last but not least, a very important person of our committee is our Child Safety Officer, Russell Cairns. Russell. Before I ask to present our young people with their certificates, I would just like to take this opportunity of thanking a few people because this is my first time, and without these people helping me, I don't know if I'd be standing up here or shaking the legs like I am. But to Pam Bennett from the National Coordinator of Leo, she's been amazing, guiding me along. But my predecessor, past District Governor Ken Bradford, wherever you were up here. There he is. Hi. Thank you for your help. Our Youth of the Year, Toby, past District Governor Toby. These two people have helped me get through the year, and I've gone from learners to P plates. So I'm hoping to get off my P plates and become a proper driver next year, because it's been a big year for me. And finally, I would like to thank Lion Mark Henning. Now, when you live in Western Australia and you're trying to organise judges and all sorts of things from over there to Traralgon in Victoria, you need someone to help you. And Lion Mark from the Traralgon Lions Club, wherever you are, a big thank you, because I couldn't have done it without you. So thank you, Mark. I'd now like to ask our Council Chair David, if you'd like to come up and present the contestants with their participation certificates and a small gift. And they're going to introduce themselves to you personally. Thank you. Okay, we have Wee Lin.
Hi everyone, my name's Hui Lin, and I come from a little incy-wincy island called Tasmania. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it. I go to St Michael's Collegiate, and I am an avid musical theatre nerd. You will always catch me singing and dancing. I might have serenaded a couple of you in. If so, I am sorry. I love everything from sport to music. I'm an avid debater, and I'm so grateful to be here. After school, I would love the opportunity to study either law or medicine, working in making healthcare and the criminal justice system more accessible for all. But most of all, I want a life where I can make people smile. And I want to really quickly say a massive thank you to Russell, Margaret, and Phil, who have helped me get here today. I love you all very much, and thank you so much for the support you've shown me. Enjoy the day, guys.
Hello everyone, my name is Joshua Patrick, and I'm coming over from Western Australia, so it's still like 6 o'clock in the morning for me here, so please bear with me. Year 12, a lot of time is kind of taken up with studying, but my hobbies really are mainly presentations like this, advocating for young people and those suffering from disadvantage similar to my own. Aspirations after school, I've actually got an offer for the University of Western Australia, Biomedical Engineering and Science, with a hope of becoming a minister in either health, education, or disaster prevention. Thank you.
I'll take that too. Appreciate it. Hello everyone, I'm Millie Copeland from the N1 district. I go to the Armidale School, and unsurprisingly, I'm also from Armidale, which is the highest city in Australia, and until I came here, I thought it was the coldest. But I'm sure you guys can all testify that Traralgon's given it a run for its money. My hobbies are cattle work, debating, and cadets. And, you know, in form, I would like to join the ADF after school and have completed my interviews for officer entry. Thank you all. I hope we keep you entertained somewhat.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emma Choi, and I'm a Year 12 student at Loreto College in Adelaide, South Australia. My hobbies include reading, swimming, the whole lot, especially some talking, which is why I'm here today. And as for aspirations, I have always been fascinated by the human body, and I'm really passionate about equitable healthcare in Australia, so I do hope to study medicine at university. And with this opportunity, I'd just like to thank you all for being here today, as well as the South Australian team and the Lions Club of Brighton. So hope you enjoy today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. I come from a little town about 2 hours west of here called Melbourne. I'm a Year 12 student at Melbourne High, and my hobbies are debating. I play guitar and piano, and I also play soccer. After school, I'd like to study political science and law, hopefully in either Europe or in the United States. I'm very glad to be here, and I just want to make a quick note of the friendships that I've made with my other competitors here. I love you all very much, and I'm very, very sad to say this is our last day together.
Adjust this a little bit. How are we going today? Good? Yeah? Okay, awesome, nice. My name is Jasper Robinson, and I am from the Q4 district. I go to the best regional school in Australia, Fraser Coast Anglican College in Hervey Bay. I see my little support crew sitting in the middle up there. So yes, I'm very passionate in particular about strengthening just sort of the environmental and social landscape of modern Australia, and this includes bringing an end to gender-based violence in all of its forms, and also strengthening our environment by reaching our net zero goals by 2050. And I'd also just like to say, Seb stole my words, but yeah, I've made some really good friends over the last few days, and it'll be really sad to see them go, so yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
Just leave them there. You can see by all the cheering how well they've got on over the last few days. They are an amazing group of young people, as they always are. This event wouldn't be possible without all the volunteer judges who participated at all the various levels during the past 4 months. During this time, 801 people gave up their time, culminating in over 4,800 hours to judge our Youth of the Year competition. That is an amazing effort from people who just volunteer their time. So a big thank you to all of them. And speaking of judges, we have 6 people in front of us here who are, most of them, doing it for the first time. Cadence is, well, reigning national winner, but the rest of them, and they told me it was hard. I said, yes, it is hard. But please welcome our chairperson, Belinda Ludlow. Stand up, Linda. Richard Teeshan. Richard. Julie Mack. Liam Durkin, David Blithman, and you're right, David, and of course Candace Taylor, who's the current national winner for about the next few hours. Before we start the public speaking section, could my timekeepers, chaperones and ushers please take up their positions? We are now heading into the part that the contestants love the most. Don't you? Yes, yeah. The impromptu questions. So I will read the rules in case there's some people who might be here that don't know them. Each contestant will be asked 2 questions. The timekeeper rings a clearly audible double bell. Double bell. Double bell. Double bell. You can't get good help these days, I tell you. On the lapse of 2 minutes, a penalty is incurred if the contestant proceeds beyond the completion of the current sentence after the lapse of 2 minutes. There is no penalty if the contestant finishes under 2 minutes, and there is no warning bell in the impromptu questions. So, if our chaperones would like to take everyone except for Wee Lin to the little hideaway, we will start the impromptu questions. Off you go. It's like... Right, here, Wee Lin, come and join me up here. I saw an interesting question you got asked in impromptu. It was vegan or meat lover. How did you answer that one? Don't remember.
I can't say I was asked that question.
Well, I've got it on your list.
Oh. I was asked it in spirit, guys. It's okay.
Okay. Are we ready? Timekeepers ready? Okay. I was asked for a handheld mic, but I don't know.
It's okay, you can share with me, Margaret. It's okay.
We can
Come
share?
the stage,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Your first question. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why? I'll read it again. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why?
Of course I believe that Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today. Otherwise, how would I get my Anzac Day biscuits? I mean, come on, people. Surely they're your favourite biscuits too, especially the ones from Woolies would recommend. But out of all seriousness, Anzac Day celebrates a massive milestone of Australian aid. It celebrates the sacrifice that Australians made all the way back in the World Wars. Now, is this still relevant to the youth of today? Well, absolutely, because how can we learn from anything if we don't celebrate the past? What do I mean by this? Well, as of Anzac Day, we celebrate the sacrifices, we celebrate the lives lost, but we celebrate the immense amount of aid, the mateship, and the values of Australia. As youth, we need to take this on. We need to celebrate it. We need to learn to help more. We need to learn what sacrifice is. We need to celebrate it. Anzac Day is utterly most important. We watch the Australian flag fly with immense pride. We are proud of our country. We are proud of the soldiers that fought before us. It teaches us how, in the future, we can sacrifice for our country too.
Say thank you when you finish. Sorry. Just give me the nod when you're ready. Okay. Your second question. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to you?
Success can be defined in so many different ways. In many ways, I feel extremely successful being able to stand up here and talk to you all today. But it is not the big moments of success that I think is most meaningful to me. It is not even the trophies, the money, which, for youth is a massive incentive, of course. It is not when everybody applauds. It is not when I see my name on a massive big plaque. It is the immense amount of human connections that I can make throughout my life. You heard two people in their introduction today say that we've all become extremely good friends. Success to me isn't about the winning. It's about the life experiences, the memories, and the joy that we can bring to people. And I can say, over this week, there has been a lot of yapping and chatting and sharing memories. It is about bringing joy to people's lives. It is about seeing a smile, making somebody's day. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it is that success does not mean money. It does not mean trophies. It means watching every single one of you grin a little bit like this and have the best time of your life. You are all incredible for being here, and go and make somebody else's day. Go and make them smile. Joy is success.
Look what I found. Thank you. They have to be hidden away so they can't hear, so it takes a while to get them. I do have an usher. I don't know where they're hiding though. They must be down the other end of the building. Okay, come on down, Josh. Well, you're miles away. Josh, one of the questions you got asked, and this is the first time I've come across this, how do the works of Lions add value to the community? How did you answer that one?
Wait, is this actually my impromptu question?
No, it's not your impromptu question.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good news. No pressure. Well, yeah, the work of Lions, and I think the question was about youth. I don't know whether that was taken out. Anyway, I answered about how it works to raise our youth to be good members of the society. Quite often in modern society, we kind of are cut off on social media, built into the digital world. And Lions really works to bring us back into that real life existence and talking to people in person. And I just really love that about the Lions community and how it really connects people on a personal level.
Thank you, Josh. That was just to relax you, love. Are you relaxed?
No.
No. Okay. Your first question. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why? We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why?
I definitely think Anzac Day is still relevant. Not necessarily for just the people that it recognises and the sacrifice that we have all seen and now understand to be the reason that this country is still free. Anzac Day is still relevant because of the message that it portrays to everyone. It is about courage. It is inspiration. It is making sure that we stand up for what is right. And even though those who return from the war are either getting on in years or have passed away, it still shows us the courage that is possible of the human race. And it shows us that we have the courage, we have the strength, we have the camaraderie to work together, work as a team, and make change in the right way and for the right causes. Thank you.
Okay, Josh, your second question. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to you?
Now, the meaning of life is a very controversial question. People always have very different answers on what it means. And having a sister that has a condition that means she won't be able to work, she won't be able to contribute economically to the community, has really made me ponder this question quite a lot. And to be successful is quite similar to that meaning of life. It is to ensure that we are happy and we bring happiness to others. It is about the joy that we can give to others, whether it be through supporting them financially or starting up a charity, or whether it is just through talking to your local community and having a joke every now and then. As long as we are happy ourselves, as long as we bring joy to ourselves and the people around us, that is all success is to me. Because anything more is really just a bonus. We're here to work, we have to do that. But as long as we bring joy to everyone that surrounds us, that is the true meaning of success. Thank you.
Come on, Camilla. Now, Camilla, this is not your impromptu question, as Josh thought it might have been, but just to relax you a little bit. You got asked a question, manners matter. How did you go answering that one?
That was actually my least favourite question because I was a little bit confused where the question mark went in it. But I'd like to say I did quite all right given I got here. I thanked them for the question and I was very pleased to have had the question, and I rattled off about 60 other gratitudes until I finally found my point and then answered it.
Okay. You ready? Here's your first question. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why? We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why?
I think Anzac Day is incredibly relevant. Oh my word. Like a lamb to the slaughter, I've walked to this microphone. Please forgive me. Yes, personally, I think Anzac Day will always be relevant in this country. It is the first time that we showed ourselves as united on a world stage. 2 days ago now, a lot of you walked into a voting booth and the hardest question that you had to decide was, do you get the sausage sizzle or the sticker? For other people in other countries, that going to a voting booth in itself is possibly the decision between their life and their death. And we have had people who have given the ultimate sacrifice for you to make that decision. I was at an Anzac Day service, back on Anzac Day, and the speaker there explained I want to say respect extended to the soldiers, or rather the physical bodies of the soldiers. However, it was a lack thereof that was most pressing. You see, when the soldiers at the First World War died on that battlefield, they were left for a year, rotting away, before a British company was commissioned to remove their bodies. And so as you can imagine, they were thrown into a mass grave and it was all really, horrible, and there was a brief ceremony and whatnot. Actually, that didn't happen. What did happen was they were pulverized and their bones were used for fertilizer after their teeth were removed to make dentures because the technology hadn't yet come about. That was the respect extended to them then, and that is not the respect that should be extended to them now. I think it is incredibly relevant today because we need to honour the sacrifices made, make up for past lack of sacrifice, and know that people who are making that sacrifice. Thank you. Gosh, Margaret, you're terrifying me. Make me wait.
It's not me, it's them. You growl at the judges, okay?
No, I can't do that. It won't end well for me.
Okay, your second question. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to you?
To me, success is measured on 2 wavelengths. The first, being the recognition of other people. How do they perceive you? How are you seen in their eyes? Can they connect to you, relate to you? That can be shown through awards, positions, titles. But at the end of the day, it is the connection you make between people. That is your measure of success. The second wavelength is your personal success. Do you personally feel like you have performed to the best of your ability? For me, personally, I see them inextricably linked. I'd say that the way other people perceive me is how I measure if I have met my own goals. Do I feel that people feel comfortable coming to me and talking about things that genuinely concern them? Are they comfortable sharing their opinions even when they know it might not be the same as my own? Success cannot purely be measured by a title, a position, or an award. There needs to be genuine, authentic care behind it for those positions and titles to have merit and value. I think success can only be measured by your own evaluation of how others perceive you. Have you gone to the ends of the earth to support them, and can you call that success? Thank you.
I feel like they need a cup, lunch and water bag. Come on, Emma. Quite a trick, isn't it?
It is. Walk of shame.
Now, this isn't an impromptu question. And what state are you from again?
I'm from South Australia. Very
Okay,
proud
well-
South Australia.
Well, I thought you were, but I just wanted to double check. You got asked, should people stop eating meat? How did you go answering that one?
I thought that was quite a multifaceted question. I tried to approach it from a range of different perspectives, and I personally am not a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, so it was really interesting to approach it from all different angles, and I think that is my favourite part of impromptus, as nerve-wracking as they may be. So yes.
Well done. Okay, your first question. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why? We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why?
History repeats itself. That's a phrase that I think most people in this room would have heard about. Now, Anzac Day is arguably one of the most significant events in the Australian legacy, as well as the New Zealand legacy. So why is there so much contention around Anzac Day today and its implications in modern society? Only recently, there were neo-Nazi proclamations at an Anzac Day celebration in Melbourne regarding the relevance of the welcome to country and acknowledgement to country. Now, these sort of discussions around Anzac Day are perhaps what perpetuates such a controversial legacy of it nowadays. Nonetheless, I do, as a young person myself and as a proud Australian, I believe that Anzac Day and the Anzac legend and the Anzac spirit values of mateship and courage are essential to shaping the youth of today. And not only is Anzac Day something that youth can learn from, but it is also commemorative. Lest we forget is something that we should always remember, as the contributions of soldiers, nurses, and different servicemen and service people should be remembered to this day. So whilst Anzac Day's legacy, it may be somewhat controversial and will continue to be controversial in future years, it is, at its core, Australian. And what are we, if not Australian, to deny such an important legacy? Thank you.
Okay, your second question. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to you?
Has anyone ever heard of the Vikings? I'm sure the answer is yes. Well, just recently, there was an exhibition at the South Australian Museum that showed collections of artefacts from the Galloway Hoard, which was found in Scotland from the Viking era. Now, you may be wondering why I'm bringing up a museum exhibition, as much of a history nerd I am, to a speech about success. Well, let me tell you a fun fact. In this Galloway Hoard, piles and piles of precious treasures lead to the heart of the very hoard. And the heart of the hoard contains 2 dirt balls. Now you may wonder, why are 2 dirt balls the most significant artifacts in this hoard? Well, upon closer observation, archaeologists found that these dirt balls had flecks of silver and gold and bone in them. So to me, success is about celebrating these small moments, these small flecks of gold, silver, and bone. Because whilst success may often seem like a high step to reach, and whilst it is difficult to imagine success when you are trudging through a hard road towards it, remember that success is in the small moments. And I know that at this Lions Youth of the Year program, my moments of success is right now, and when I met these wonderful people. Thank you.
Come on down, Sebastian. You right there, love? Just strolling along. I gotta love these kids. Oh, contestants, sorry, I shouldn't call them kids.
Thank you, Margaret.
This isn't your impromptu question, but it's kind of to help you relax, okay? You were asked a question after what we've just been through this past weekend, and I know you guys talked about it a lot, and it was current voting age in Australia is 18. Do you believe it should be 16?
Oh, this is quite funny. I was just speaking to Emma about this before. I think there are 2 streams of thought on this topic. The first thing I thought of when I got this question was that the voting age is there for a reason. The voting age is set at 18 simply because that is where I believe the general consensus is that people believe that under 18, I suppose you're more susceptible to the tactics of politicians. Obviously, politics in the modern day has become a game of scare tactics. And after 18, I believe we afford our adults a bit more reasoning capability. However, when I think about it a bit more, if you're old enough for policies to affect you, you're old enough to make decisions on those policies. And that essentially summed up the remainder of my answer. Yes, thank you.
Well
I'm sorry,
done.
I don't remember verbatim my answer, but that's my best interpretation of it.
Thank you, Sebastian. They had a celebration party the other night after the elections, these young people, so they're really into it.
True story.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Your first question. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why? We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why?
Okay, so I actually made a speech on Anzac Day pretty recently, and there are 3 main reasons why I agree with this proposition. The first is obviously that we can learn from the past, And Anzac Day is a day grounded in remembrance. It's a day that commemorates atrocities that occurred during the World Wars, and also the sacrifices of those who are our kin, essentially. It's important for us to celebrate Anzac Day, particularly in the youth, I would say, simply because we can reflect on the atrocities that have passed and the tragedies that have occurred, and turn them into something positive and build some sort of mateship between us. In the last few years, in particular, we've seen a lot of division, whether it be in politics, in pandemics, or in the distance that we find due to social media and the rise of it. It's important that we ground ourselves again in days of remembrance and days in which we can feel closer to each other. Another reason why Anzac Day is important and extremely relevant to the youth of today is that as we get further and further away from the past world wars, we get closer and closer to the potential for another conflict. And similar to what I said, it gave as my first reason, it's crucial that we celebrate these days so that we can reflect on why we try to combat these things and why we try to prevent these things from happening. During the World Wars, one of the demographics that suffered the most was the youth. When you grow up in a world where you rely so heavily on public institutions, being a youth, you rely on schooling, you rely on the distribution of food and resources, it's crucial that we remember why these things are commemorated. Thank you.
Okay, Sebastian, your second question. What does success mean to you? What does success mean to you?
Success as a word is often limited in its definition, and we search for a meaning that is quite specific for each individual. Often we're asked things like, what does success look like for you? What would you consider a successful life? But in reality, this is the word in itself warrants a definition that expands beyond one meaning and beyond a meaning that's specific to each person. Success to me is not something that you can necessarily, one day you have it, one day you don't, but it's something that you build over time. I read a book relatively recently that was talking about success and what it is. And after that, I came to the conclusion that success, at least for me, appears when I feel that I am doing something as an ends in itself. In reference to this competition, for example, I came into this thinking it was just a competition. When I started this, at the club level, I thought, okay, I have these tasks to do, and if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. After 4 or 5 rounds, I finally made it here, and finally, I believe that I have found success. Regardless of the results of today, for example, I feel like this competition has been a success. I've met some of the most wonderful and amazing people I have ever seen, and I've met many wonderful people in the crowd as well. And that to me is what success means. It's beyond any sort of tangible goal. I don't care if I come home with the trophy or not, but it's reaching a stage in which you are not concerned about the extrinsic motivation, but rather the action in itself. Thank you.
Finally, we have Jasper. He tells me he loves this lovely warm weather. Jasper, this isn't your question, it's just to help you relax a little bit, love. But you were asked a question, what gets you up in the morning? So what does get you up in the morning?
Well, I remember that question. That was at the district finals in Bargara, Queensland, and I talked about wanting to become a better version of myself every day, learning from my mistakes, and just trying to improve everything in my life. And yeah, that was it. Just being a better person is what gets me up in the morning. So yeah, thank you.
Well done, Jasper. Okay, your first question, young man. We have just celebrated a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why? We have just celebrated Anzac Day, a milestone of Anzac Day here in Australia. Do you believe Anzac Day is still relevant to the youth of today, and why?
We are one, and we are many, and from all the lands on earth we've come. The Anzacs, or the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, fought for the very freedoms that allow me to speak here today. The freedoms that allow me to attend an incredible school surrounded by incredibly intelligent teachers. The Anzacs, they didn't know what they were getting themselves into. They were essentially going in blind. And yet, they were heroes anyway. The Anzacs share values that are still incredibly relevant today. Values of mateship, courage, bravery. Their lessons and their sacrifice that they've taught us are not only relevant to the youth of today, but to everyone who I can see in this room today. So, yes, Anzacs are incredibly relevant today, and they're not only relevant, but they are a force of nature, an incredibly important part of our history that need to be commemorated and respected. So thank you.
And your second question, what does success mean to you? What does success mean to you?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise to oppose the motion put in place by the Leader of the Opposition, and in doing so, I tell the Leader of the Opposition I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not. And the government will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. Not now, not ever. The Leader of the Opposition says that those who hold sexist views and who are misogynists are not appropriate for high office. Well, I hope the Leader of the Opposition has got a piece of paper and he is writing out his resignation. Because if he wants to know what misogyny looks like in modern Australia, he doesn't need a motion in the House of Representatives, he needs a mirror. Sorry, I'm not finished yet. So, success, as portrayed by that speech in particular, Julia Gillard's famous misogyny speech, highlights a different element of success than we usually see. We usually are awarded and celebrate academic accolades, community accolades, but this type of success, to me, is success that celebrates representing people who don't have the voice to represent themselves. For too long, women in this country were underrepresented, and it took 109 years for a female Prime Minister to be elected. That is success. standing in the face of oppression and adversity and really overcoming it. That is success. That is persistence, and that is perseverance. Thank you.
They're quite amazing, aren't they, these young people? One of the reasons I love the program so much. Now we're going to move on to their prepared speech. They each have a choice of topic that they prepare. The speech must be a maximum of 5 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, they will hear a double bell. I think my timekeepers are asleep. Can we have a double bell, please? Double? I tell you, you can't get good help these days. At the 4-minute mark, they will hear a single bell. Thank you. And that gives the contestants an indication that they must get at least another 30 seconds, because if they don't reach 4.5 minutes, they do get penalised. If they go over 5 minutes and they start a new sentence, there is also a penalty applies, and the timekeepers work all that out. Are you all ready down there? Okay. Please give a big Lions welcome to Emma for her speech, Lost in Translation. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Wee Lin is first. Her speech is neurodivergent. Come on, Wee Lin.
My brain works differently to yours. I can't learn quickly. I struggle to make friends. Social cues confuse me. And when the world gets too loud, my brain shuts down. But just like you, I am simply human. I need friends so that I can feel laughter, happiness, and joy. But even when people say they are my friend, they laugh when I don't understand. They use me when they need me, but ignore me when I say hi. What they don't see is I don't need much, just a little bit of patience, kindness, and understanding. I need an education so I can be financially independent, but in a class of 25, it is hard for me to be the priority. It is hard for me to receive the patience, attention, and kindness that I need to learn. I need a community to belong to so I don't feel so alone, but every time I try to join one, I am put down, rejected, and become victim of bullying. But it's okay. I understand that my brain is different and therefore cannot be normal. Over time, I've realized that society will never fully accept me, even though, just like you, I am simply human. This is the story of 75 million people around the world who struggle with autism. This is the story of my sister. Bound by a neurodivergent condition that she cannot control and didn't ask for, she and 75 million people around the world struggle in our fast-paced society that demands perfection, rewards competition, and is becoming increasingly intolerant of differences. Imagine standing at the airport and seeing a child screaming or taking 10 minutes to get through security. Picture going to the supermarket and watching a customer repeatedly taking goods on and off the shelf. Imagine talking to somebody who can't follow conversation and constantly changes topics. Many of us don't like this, don't accept this. We express our frustration and our disdain, and as a result, these people become marginalized. They become vulnerable. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. we can all make a difference. Because we in Australia have the power to create a haven of diversity and inclusivity. All we need is a little bit of empathy and understanding. Because we in Australia have already started this journey. We need more than millions of dollars being fundraised for autism research. We need more than clinical trials being funded to create miracle drugs. We need each and every one of us to take small steps to be more aware. You may not know this, but there are children in Australian airports walking around with sunflower lanyards. You may not know this, but supermarkets have quiet hours. But these initiatives don't mean anything if you and I don't have the compassion and the knowledge to support them. Our community members with autism need us to respect their need for quiet. They need us to understand how their brains work. Autism is not a label. It is simply a sign that somebody needs a safe and supportive space with a little bit more patience and a little bit more kindness. These goals may seem massive, but they start with small steps that you and I can take today, including them in conversation, picking them for group work, landing a hand at the airport or the supermarket, or saying, "Oh, oh, ha, ha, ha," remember, to share a laugh, showing patience, having kindness, small actions that lead to big change. Because your every little step makes a difference. I'm not sure, but maybe in the future, autism will be a Lions project. What I am sure of is that with 500 delegates at this convention this week, if we all embrace that Aussie can-do spirit and the Lions' mission of strength and compassion, together we can create real change. Because why should anybody suffer just because they are different? Just like you, they are simply human.
Very keen. Okay, a big welcome to Joshua. His speech is Youth in Democracy.
Imagine waking up to a government announcement. Overnight, registration for petrol and diesel vehicles has been completely banned, and only electric cars are now permitted. There's no prior notice, there's no public input, just a sudden decree. It's outrageous, right? But here's the reality. If we're not involved in the decision-making process, we can't be surprised when the outcomes don't align with our values and our needs. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshua Patrick, and I want to talk to you about why young people must be involved in democracy. Not in 10 years' time, not when we've earned a seat at the table, but right now. Because the policies being decided don't just shape the distant future, they shape our lives today. And if we're not part of the conversation, we're just passengers on a ship someone else is steering, with no control over where we end up. For me, democracy isn't some abstract idea. It's personal. I've been a carer for my sister for 11 years. I grew up in regional Australia, where services and opportunities were limited. My family has faced financial hardship. I've experienced bullying and domestic violence. All of these things are things that no young person should have to endure. But these challenges didn't just make my life harder, they shaped me. They made me realize that the services that all of us rely on weren't built with young people, and especially marginalized youth in mind. And I realized from a young age that I had to fight to change these systems. Luckily, I'm not alone. I've worked alongside countless young people who refuse to accept these injustices. I've seen young people passionately fight for better carer support, greater regional opportunities, and meaningful investment in youth mental health, disability services, and education. The issue isn't that young people don't care, as you can see. It's that the system doesn't care to listen. We're often dismissed as too young, too radical, or incapable of understanding these complex societal issues that plague our society. But Malala Yousafzai was just 15 when she fought for girls' education. And Greta Thunberg was also just 15 when she ignited a global climate movement. Our age isn't a weakness, it's an asset. Young people bring fresh ideas, diverse perspectives, and a much-needed reality check. We cut through the excuses, we ask the hard questions, and we push for action while many others are often keen to maintain the status quo. Some of the most raw conversations that I have had have led to real impact, including my words being quoted in federal parliament. But youth participation in democracy isn't just about the national politics. Our local councils decide where our parks and youth services go. Our state governments control funding for schools, healthcare and transport, and the federal government sets policies on welfare, wages and climate action. Every level of government affects young people's lives. So why aren't we consulted on every level? Some places are getting this right. In Wales, they have a Future Generations Commissioner, a role dedicated to ensuring that every policy considers young people. And they also have a youth parliament with real decision-making power. Now imagine if Australia had that level of foresight. So what does meaningful youth participation look like? It's not just seats on token advisory groups. It's meeting with key decision makers, politicians, CEOs, and voting. It's a democracy that actively invites youth input, not one that waits until we're 18 to recognise our stake in the future. So here is my challenge to you. Empower us, consult us, involve us, listen to us, and act. Democracy isn't a privilege granted at 18. It's a right that we own now. And for those who still think that young people don't belong in democracy, I'll leave you with this. If we are old enough to inherit the problems of today, we are old enough to help fix them for a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Camilla, come on down, love. Camilla's speech is entitled Waves of Conviction.
Great speakers did not cease to exist after 1968. What did change was the snowballing effect of self-censorship for fear of offence. This morning, you have just heard two incredibly passionate young speakers, Huilin and Josh. And I know that the fellow three Youth of the Years will continue this and extend this art of conviction and revive soapbox speaking. Unfortunately, this is not the norm in modern society. You see, while we preach this notion of freedom of speech, the art of conviction lies precariously in the hands of the silent majority, threatened by keyboard warriors and the weaponization of cancel culture. Good morning. If you haven't noticed, the lynch mob has hijacked public debate to censor it for offence. And this absence of robust discussion has become a cultural phenomenon where our speech is so benign as to be almost unintelligible. The primary issue is the fear of having an opinion. In this age of social media, where we are natives to technology, every comment is lasting. A permanent etching on your record which will remain even when the trending ideologies have changed. So, rather than tread thoughtfully, we have become aggressively inarticulate, lest we offend our stakeholders or future contemporaries. If we do have conviction in an idea, we hang it loosely, so that it may be retracted at a moment's notice. And the only tenets which we dare associate with are the easily digestible sound bites, which we project back into the echo chambers in which they were received. This existential crisis of thought has manifest as a lack of commitment to our language. Verbal puff pieces. What are they? Well, they literally, totally that. And so rather than declaring our own opinion, we just invite others to join our own bandwagon of uncertainty because we have nothing invested personally in our opinions. So why does the decline in the quality of communication matter? The very word communicate is derived from the Latin communis, which means shared by all, and thus forms the word community. It is how we share our experiences as a species and how we connect and relate to each other. Our words have a role. It was communication that allowed our species to band together and prevail, outcompeting Neanderthals and otherwise superior species. It is communication of opinion that led to the major paradigm shifts in racial and gender movements and formed the cohesive society that we here today enjoy. We live in a democracy where communication is our means to knowing who should lead. And if we normalize benign or opaque dialogue, how can we know what our leaders stand for? If we censor all remarks that may be considered offensive, how can we communicate? How will a competition like this even run when every piece covered never deviates from the stock standard socially acceptable piece? And what of the unofficial gatekeepers of our society? The democracy, the comedians. If we deplatform them or cancel them, who is calling our attention to concerning anomalies? How can we call ourselves human when we are unable to execute communication, which is at the heart of our humanity? I do not think it is a coincidence that the widespread depression plaguing our communities increases as we self-censor and normalize internalizing our own thoughts as the social norm. The new silence seeing us become more and more disconnected and separated from the lives around us, until everything we have inside breaks us down. We are not building a better society by subduing our voices out of fear of offense. There is nothing constructive about discussing and reiterating mutual agreement within the walled communities of the left and right. So, how do we fix this? Do not observe in silence. Be proud of your opinions and be prepared to debate your ideas and relish the opportunity to hear contrary views. At best, declare with conviction.
Emma? Just love the way they support each other. Emma's speech is entitled Lost in Translation.
I'm trying to learn a language I've forgotten. There's a particular word in Korean, yo-un, and directly translated, it means a lingering, nostalgic echo of a memory. It's ironic because that's exactly what my first language, Korean, has become to me. Now, I have to use Google Translate to construct barely coherent text messages to my parents. They tend to reply with an exasperated, "What?" Because yes, as much as I'd love to believe that technology is here to save the day, online translation is about as reliable as a toddler with a thesaurus. But as incredibly isolating as this struggle to retain my Korean feels, I'm far from alone. The phenomenon known as first language attrition is a shared pain amongst countless first and second generation immigrants. It's not about mispronouncing words or forgetting how to write characters. It's about becoming disconnected from the very core of your identity. This matters, not just for individuals like myself, but for all of us as members of Australian society, a country that celebrates multiculturalism, as reflected in the lyrics of our national anthem, "For those who've come across the seas, we've boundless plains to share. With courage, let us all combine to advance Australia fair." But how do we truly combine without language? It is language that allows us to communicate and connect. And although it seems counterintuitive, diversity of languages allows people to acquire a sense of belonging, whilst avoiding uniformity and oppression. But our world is slowly gravitating away from tradition, and the value of heritage is decreasing. And it's not just immigrant languages that are at risk. 65,000 years. That is the period of time the First Nations people of Australia have occupied the mainland. But within the past 2 centuries, more than half of the 250 known Indigenous Australian languages have been lost, and many of the remaining are considered critically endangered. Colonisation didn't simply seize land, it imposed foreign tongues and cultural erasure that left Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities struggling to reclaim what had been stripped away. The stolen generations, forcibly displaced from their families, were deprived of not only kin, but also of their native languages, as youth were taught to reject their cultural values for those of Britons. Since 1991, the percentage of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who spoke a native language at home has declined from 16.5% to merely 9.5%, and the trend continues. Practicing traditional languages is a fundamental right. The United Nations established the Universal Declaration of Linguistic Rights in 1996, a document outlining the freedom to communicate in any language of one's choosing. It states, "Different languages and different ways of speaking are how humans grow and cultures are built." And yet language is not only preserved through formal heritage, but also through the way you and I speak every day. Take Australian slang, for example. Our lingo is chaotic at best, but it's what makes us uniquely Aussie. Words like brekkie, arvo, mate, aren't just lazy abbreviations. They create a sense of belonging, an informal bond amongst a broader community. However, as global media and digital communication take precedence, these are gradually fading, especially within our younger generations. Case in point, I personally had never heard of the phrase fair dinkum before sitting down to write this speech, much to the outraged shock of my English teacher. But it's important that we don't lose these Aussie quirks, because language doesn't only preserve history, it creates unity in the present. Language is what embodies the unspoken bonds that tie generations together. When we lose a language or specific words and phrases, we lose the wisdom of our predecessors, the lullabies sung and folktales told to us as children. Imagine a future where entire histories are reduced to mere footnotes. It has happened before on our very own shores, and history tends to repeat itself. An estimated 7,000 languages are spoken today, yet more and more inch closer to extinction. If we want to continue living in a genuinely authentic and culturally diverse Australia, we must protect our languages. That means encouraging bilingualism in immigrant families. That means supporting Indigenous linguistic revival. That means cherishing the words that make us distinctly Aussie. And for any person, such as myself, who has lost touch with their heritage, I urge you to reconnect with your culture, because a language forgotten is not a language lost.
Sebastian? Come on, give him a big round of applause. Right. Sebastian's speech is entitled Speaking with Confidence, so I'm interested to see what he has to say.
Hopefully I adhere to my own words. So, I low-key had this thought the other day that was, kinda important. Did that sentence mean anything to you? No? Good. It didn't mean much to me either. Yet my entire generation would probably disagree with me. Today, our sentences are padded with words that make what we say softer, weaker. It's almost as if we will add anything to take the real meaning out of the spotlight and hide it behind drapes of uncertainty. Like, low-key, literally, kinda. We're afraid to make a statement that isn't wrapped in disclaimers, a statement with any genuine conviction. But here's the problem. While this might just come off as a funny little language quirk, it actually shapes the way that we think about ourselves and the things that we're saying. It masquerades the real meaning behind what we think by disguising, by surrounding our words with gibberish. If we're constantly weakening our words, we weaken our confidence, or at least how others perceive it. I'll talk about why this matters a bit later, but for now, let's just ask the question. Why do we do this? Why are we so hesitant to just say what we mean? It's not because we're dumb or even because we're lazy. It's because we're afraid. Afraid of disagreement, afraid to take up space, afraid to be heard. Now, my generation grew up in a time where everything that we say can be screenshotted, quoted, taken out of context and judged by people that we don't even know. You say anything with confidence online, and within minutes, someone in the comments is either cancelling you or abusing you with a landslide of personal remarks. So, we adjust. Instead of saying, this is what I think, we say, I kind of feel like this might be what I think, just in case someone challenges us, just in case someone disagrees, just in case we're wrong. And we don't even realize when we're doing it, but every time that we cushion our words, we make ourselves smaller. We make our voices easier to ignore, and that fear, it breeds hesitation that doesn't just stay in our speech. It seeps into how we see ourselves. Because if you can't even say, I believe this with confidence, how will you ever stand up for yourself in something like a job interview? How will you ever fight for something that actually matters? Every great leader, every activist, every person who has made a difference in history, virtually without exception, has had one thing in common. They spoke with certainty. Franklin D. Roosevelt didn't just say, we kinda have nothing to fear except fear itself. But we've gotten so used to diluting our own words that we don't even realize when we're doing it. And that's a dangerous habit. Because here's the truth. Strong words create strong action. Weak words get ignored. If you walk into a job interview and you say, I think I might kinda be good for this role, would you hire yourself? If you're in an argument and you say, I feel like maybe this isn't fair, do you think you'll really be taken seriously? And if you want to change the world, but you say, I kinda, sorta, maybe think this is a problem, nothing will change. People don't listen to uncertainty. They listen to conviction. So here's my challenge to you. Stop softening your voice. The next time you want to say, I feel like this might be important, Just say, this is important. A sword is useless if you're too afraid to swing it. And when your words are your weapons and you're fighting for change, you want the sharpest words that you can get. Speak like you deserve to be heard, because you do. Thank you.
Jasper? Big round of applause for our last one. Jasper's speech is entitled The Reality for Women Everywhere.
Sorry, but until he does anything to you, there's nothing we can do. These were the words spoken by a Holland Park police officer to a young woman after she contacted the police not once, twice, 3 or 4, but 5 times about a man posing serious danger to herself and her employer. Good morning, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jasper Robinson, and today I speak to you in this beautiful part of the world as a concerned brother, son, and grandson. Throughout the duration of my speech, I ask that you consider this one question. Is our community really safe for everyone? Lily is 24, and she is the woman whose story I shared in the opening. Lily is a disability support worker for a woman in Brisbane. Each day she goes to work, she is faced with a recurring problem. When she arrives, she is harassed, catcalled, and stalked by a man who lives in the same apartment complex as the woman she cares for. After each shift, her first thought isn't, I can't wait to go home. Instead, it's, is he following me? Was I discreet enough? How quickly can I get inside and lock my door? This is the reality for women everywhere. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare reports that 1 in 5 women have experienced stalking since the age of just 15. Rachel is 55. She loves working in the garden and spending time with her children and pets. She is a single mum who puts her kids above absolutely everything. At a first glance, you couldn't possibly tell that she is a survivor. That when she was just 14, she was raped by a man who was popular and publicly respected, a man she should have been able to trust. This is the reality for women everywhere. In 2021 to 2022, 11% of women had experienced abuse perpetrated by an adult before they were even 15. Audrey would be 91 today. She too was a single mother. Now, Audrey was raised in a rather different time, a time in which shame was used as a tool to control women, and to a certain extent, still is used today for that exact same purpose. When she was 17, she was sexually assaulted by a 21-year-old man. She would not tell anyone about this for another 36 years. Whilst she was shamed for getting pregnant out of matrimony, her abuser, he partied. This is the reality for women everywhere. Now, as people who see what's on the news, it's easy for us to think, oh, poor people. I'm so lucky that's never happened to my family. Except these stories that I've shared with you today aren't headlines. They're about my family. Lily is my sister, Rachel is my mum, and Audrey was my grandma. But it shouldn't matter who they are to me or to anyone. Everyone is somebody's someone, and everyone deserves the right to feel safe and comfortable in their home and in their workplace. But unfortunately, due to the way the current system deals with violence against women, the only way my sister will be actively protected is if this man physically harms her. Or worse. Worse was the reality for 101 women who lost their lives to gender-based violence in 2024. Now, as a young man, I look out into the audience and I see other men. Men with sisters, mothers, grandmothers, women who shaped you into who you are today. It is then our responsibility to advocate for those same women. Because when we together fight the system as one, that's when everything is one. Thank you.
Fellow Lions, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who know me, and there's quite a few out there who do, you know I am very passionate about this program. And how can you not be when you listen to 6 wonderful people? Please stand up, young people, and give them a big round of applause. Stand up. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And now the judges will retire to make their decision. Thank you for being part of our audience, and we look forward to seeing you all back here soon. Thank you.